It's so hot here right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Exploring Awesome. I, of course, am your host, Jim Kellner. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, comedy hypnotist, all-around swell fella. Just ask my mom. All right, so we are broadcasting live again here on YouTube, which, if you're watching, of course, you know that. So sorry. But you may be listening to this later on Blog Talk or on what is it called? Apple, whatever, Apple iTunes. And so that's why I want to let you know. Trying to do a live broadcast every Wednesday at noon Pacific Standard Time. Sometimes that doesn't work out because it's difficult to schedule those with my guests. So we always want to make it convenient for the guest. My guest today has decided to go ahead and go live on the air, and I'm really excited. You know, my guest today. She's I've known her for about 5 years. We met while we were both doing stand-up comedy, and she recently, well, a year or so ago, we'll talk more about that. She'll tell us everything. A year or so ago, she packed up. She moved to Grand Cayman and started a whole new life for herself. And so, with that, well, she got some really cool stuff to talk about. And one of the things that she said that I really liked was she really wants to inspire and teach people how to step into your power. So with that, I want to welcome today Miss Shannon Whaley. Hey, Shannon.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
I can. So
okay.
We were just talking about the temperature there. What is the temperature there in Grand Cayman?
I think it is, let me double check, but I think it's around 80, it's 88 right now.
Nice and humid?
Very, yeah. You can't tell.
Well, I, of course, am in Phoenix, and it's must be about 75 today. But so I really love yeah, it's nice. And there's no humidity here. So I really do like that.
And your hair looks great.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's weird how the weather doesn't affect it at all. So
it must be nice.
Thank you for noticing. Your hair's grown quite a bit since I saw you
last. Look at this. I don't know. It's mostly because I don't know what to do with it. Yeah, and it's so humid here that it just, if I had it short, when I knew you, I had it really short, and if it were that short again, it would just be like a big puffball. So this is more so I can braid it and get it out of the way and put it in a bun, but
more convenient when you're doing those really challenging yoga poses, I bet.
Yes, definitely. Get that out of my way as well. No yoga lately though, but
no yoga. Oh, that's right, because you had the wrist injury.
Yeah, I broke my wrist. It's going on 9 weeks now.
Which actually, and just off the cuff here, has apparently opened up the door to some other opportunities. So, isn't it crazy the way the world works, right?
And I remember sitting and you hear like, oh, everything happens for a reason, and so you read books about when someone dumps you and you're heartbroken, and when you're in it, you're supposed to look at it like, oh, I'm supposed to come out on the other side of this, like this is happening for a reason, and you're supposed to be comforted, and that's never been the case. And this time when I was sitting in the hospital, this was the first time that I sat there and I was like, I don't know why this is happening, but there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I was on a lot of morphine, so that could have had a lot to do with it. But it was the first time that I was like, all right, so I have two choices. I can be a turd about this and get in the victim mode, or I can just kind of, I'm going to be on vacation for a little bit, so I might as well make the most of it. And it's been just an experience that is quite painful, but my life has completely changed, and my outlook has just really changed because of it. Just opportunities that wouldn't have been possible have come up because of it.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Oh, it looks like we've got 6 viewers on the line. Yay! All right.
Hi
All 6 of your friends joined
Hi,
us
Mom.
today.
Hi, Jess. Hi. Hi,
So,
Jamie. And my Aunt Jamie. I know that's her.
Jamie,
Sheila.
fantastic.
Yeah. That's all.
I do
Text
want to let
me.
you. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Finish up your shout outs. Go ahead.
No, that's all I know.
Let's get
I
off.
don't think
Okay.
I remember. Oh, Heather. Maybe Heather.
I do want to let everybody know too. You can live tweet the show. It is 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can live tweet your questions, your comments, concerns, your funny photos, whatever. You can live tweet those to Twitter, of course, Jim Kellner. That's JimKellner. Again, that's Jim Kellner. Follow me on Twitter. I don't tweet much, so I won't bother you. And you can also tweet Shannon, and her handle is at, if I remember right, Shannon Whaley, right? Just the name. ShannonWhaley. And if you have her phone number, she says you can text her. So you can text your questions, comments, concerns, and we will try to address those right away. So I'm sorry to get off track there. Oh yeah, can you go into detail about any of the opportunities that have opened up due to the injury, or do you want to save that for a blog post?
Yeah, I'm sending out a tweet right now, and tagging you to my followers, all 300. Awesome. Yeah. Woo-hoo! Okay. So what came up? Well, I had the first 2 weeks was bed rest. Mm-hmm. So I was in and out of consciousness just because. So I don't know if you can see it, but there's the scar. Let's see, right there. Can you see that?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's from here to here. So I shattered this bone and then splintered down here. So I have a plate and 7 pins. Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. And so I got to catch up on Orange is the New Black. So that was changing. Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's an opportunity.
Watched some documentaries and stuff like that, and then once I wasn't on the heavy meds, I was able to start reading again and retaining information, and so I was able to just. I don't really watch TV, and so I returned the iPad. My dad's calling me. Never called me. Oh. I wonder if Dad's watching.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah. So it just reminded me, when people do stand up and then their mom calls and they answer their phone, or like during their set. So I was able to start reading more books, and I gave the iPad back so I didn't sit and watch TV all day, and just started catching up on all the, what was I reading? The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte, stuff by Gabby Bernstein. So all like self-improvement, some coaching stuff. Eckhart Tolle, just like the, kind of feel good, new agey stuff, just to finish the books that I had actually started.
Awesome. How did you hurt yourself anyway?
Oh, I was at work, and I went to go get ice, and I slipped on some stuff that was on the floor.
Ouch.
Yeah, and it was just like an instant thing, and so it was. I was just fine, and then I just wasn't. I was on the ground screaming.
Wow.
Hyperventilating. Yeah, so it was pretty gnarly.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what else happened? Also, I was able to start doing. Because here on the island, so I live. I don't know if everyone knows where Grand Cayman is, but it is a tiny island that is in the Caribbean by Cuba and Jamaica, and it's very expensive to live here. And so it's also seasonal work. So you have to work your butt off while the tourists are here, and then hope you've saved enough to eat and pay rent when it's off season. And so off season is, let's see, May, June, maybe around July, late June, July, and then it becomes hurricane season. And you hope that you have enough food and that the hurricane doesn't come. So this is in the middle of busy season too, where I fell and was out for 9 weeks.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So that's the money-making time.
It's been, however, I work at Georgetown Yacht Club, and just a huge, I hate saying shout outs, but just definitely a huge shout out, whatever, I don't know, to everybody that's been there, because they have more than taken care of me there, as far as coming to see me, coming and hanging out, really going to bat for me with the insurance companies and getting me a really nice settlement and just taking care of me. And I heard that that's not really the common thing sometimes on the island. Being an expat, you don't know your rights, like in a state, oh, I can sue this person, I can take care of that, I have this insurance. But being an expat here, you don't really have the rights that you do back at home. So I've really, on top of, having the time off and being stressed about that, I was stressed about money, and then everyone just really, really took care of me. So trying to get everybody to go to Georgetown Yacht Club.
Go to Georgetown?
Yeah. I like supporting companies that take care of their employees. And so when I hear of a company that doesn't take care of their employees, I won't go there anymore. And so I'm the same, when I hear that people are really good to their employees that work hard for them, I like to support them. So.
I agree completely, because unfortunately, at least we don't hear about it happening very often. So that's fantastic that they helped you out like that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So I was able, to catch up on podcasts, to connect with a lot of women that are in. I started a coaching program to be a personal coach, and so I've been able to connect with women that are in different coaching programs, and was invited to join a network of women coaches, which I'm really excited about, and do this podcast. And so it's just been, and I've been able to work on my tan, so that's very important.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Indeed it is. You got to get that vitamin D, right?
Absolutely.
And spending several years, many years in Seattle, like I did, you really probably had depleted those supplies. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because you've had, can you tell us just a quick rundown of baby Shannon up through now? Like
baby, like where I came from?
Well, okay. You talked about near the Redwoods, right? NorCal. Yeah. So you grew up in Northern California?
No, I grew up in Southern California.
Southern California, right.
Yeah, I grew up in
went to school.
Yes. So I went to I lived in a small town in Southern California. It was quite religious. Wasn't really my deal. And so I knew that the only way to get out of that town was to go to college. And it was funny because I was like a little hippie chick in senior year of high school, and the whole thing was like, oh, I'm just going to go travel the world. And so my mom was like, so what's your plan after high school? And I was like, oh, I'm going to travel. And she's like, really? With what money? And whose car are you taking? And I was like, I'm going to college. So it was like come on, no, you're not. And so I applied to one school, and thank you, baby Jesus, for accepting me, because I have no idea where I'd be if I didn't have a backup plan. It kind of seems to be what I do, is I just put all my eggs in the basket and hope it works out. And so I went to college in Northern California at Humboldt State, and studied psychology and women's studies, and worked as a domestic violence counselor there. And my goal was to work with women and teens in some capacity, but I wasn't really sure what that was going to look like. And so I ended up moving, when I graduated in 2001, I moved to Seattle and started working at a treatment center, a drug and alcohol treatment center for teens. And so I was working with the girls that way. Went back to school to get when you graduate with a degree in psychology, you can't really do anything. So I had to get more. They don't tell you that.
Yeah.
I had to get more certification to have a specific route of where I was going. And so I got certified as a drug and alcohol counselor of all things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was doing that, and went to. I was going to be a doctor. I wanted to get my doctorate in psychology. And so I went to grad school for one day and was like, nope, this is not for me. So I dropped out and I quit my job and I went to beauty school.
All right.
And yeah, and I was 23. It was a 5-year program and it was like $150,000. And I was like, I can't do this. It just didn't feel right.
It's a lot of student loans, huh?
Yeah. Well, I was like, I'm gonna have to get a serious job to pay off these serious loans. I'm gonna be stuck, and that was my whole thing. Like, I don't want to get stuck doing this. So I started working in the nightclubs and put myself through beauty school, and that was kind of I had kind of been drinking and partying a little bit in high school. Well, partying a lot in high school and a little bit in college, but when I started working in the nightclubs was when it really, you can drink while you work and you do after hours and you hang out. And now I'm hanging out with nightclub people and hairstylists, and we all like to party. And so I graduated and started working in a salon, and then passed by like the big fancy salon in Seattle and was like, I want to work there. And so I worked my way up and I worked there and was on the floor and was miserable. So
how come? Why were you miserable?
It wasn't my thing. In those fancy salons, you have to wear all black, you have to look all fancy, and I felt like I was playing dress up every day. Like, I don't know if you experienced this, but when you're getting ready to go out at night and you're putting on your best clothes and that whole like getting ready, like I had to do that every morning, and it's exhausting to look like this.
You don't gotta tell me, baby. Come on.
And I don't give a shit what you're wearing. I don't care about brands. I don't care about labels. That's not my thing. Like, I liked making women feel beautiful, and I liked that I had them in my chair for an hour, and we can talk about stuff. And it was definitely my counseling stuff that I still wanted to do, but I didn't. The problem that I was having with counseling was I was always working with people that were in crisis. So it was never, they were never coming to me and like sharing like exciting things that happened and like, hey, let's set goals. It was more like, I don't want to get beat up anymore. I don't want to use drugs anymore, And so it was really, it was from 19 to 25.
Wow, that's a young age to deal with that.
Yeah, I felt so old. And I had said to her, I was like, I feel older. Once I got out of it, I said I felt older at 23 than I do now at 35.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just weighs down on you. And so, let's see. I was working. It just wasn't on top of the money not being what I was promised it was going to be. It was just tiring, and just you can see all the masks that people put on.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been really good with that. I'm very bleh. Like, this is exactly what I'm thinking. This is exactly like, if you want to know my story, I will sit down and we'll talk about my story. And so it was really hard for me to be surrounded. And granted, not everybody's like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want everyone to feel like I'm pooping on them, but it was just when you're at that level. I don't know, and maybe people who are at in a corporate business, they feel the same thing. It doesn't have to be hair. It can be. Sure. You have a persona that you have to put on, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I didn't want to do that. That's not me.
Mm-hmm.
So I managed to get fired from there. That was the best thing. Nice. That was one of those things where I'm crying and like, holy shit, what am I gonna do about money? Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, it's summer. I'll get unemployment. I'll just hang out at the beach, just pop brownies all day. It's legal in Seattle. So you know, that's what I did. I just kind of gathered myself and figured out what I wanted to do and started doing freelance hair and stuff. But it was, at that point I was working, I don't know, like 4 or 5 jobs. I was working at Hard Rock. I was doing makeup. I was doing hair. I was working with like a dispensary situation, and so I think I had 4 jobs. And would just go home and just like, what am I doing? I'm saving all this money and I'm not doing anything with it. Like, this can't be what life's about. And so I knew that I didn't want to be in Seattle anymore, but I didn't know where I wanted to be. And my best friend at the time was in San Diego, and that's kind of the area. I mean, I'm from about an hour northeast of San Diego, so I never really lived in San Diego. So I was like, well, you know, I'll give it a try. And it was one of those things that it still didn't sit well with me. I'm very, like, if I make a decision and I feel it in my body somewhere, doesn't feel like the right decision, I'll change my mind. And so
Great.
those things, I'm sorry.
You know, that's so awesome, because you know, so many people are living their life afraid they're going to make a mistake. You know, afraid. Yeah. Oh no, what if I move there and it doesn't work out? What would you say to them?
What my friend said to me, because I said that same thing. What if I move to the island and it doesn't work out? And he was like, Seattle's always here.
Exactly. Right.
You can always, and he's like, you can always move back, and your friends will be doing the exact same thing,
right?
The exact same bars with the exact same drink in their hand. So you go to the island, and if it doesn't work out, then you can come right back into your old life. And I was like petrified. I'm like, I don't want this life. I want a new life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What did it. Yeah.
And you know, as I followed your posts on Facebook, I see you've traveled a ton, even since you've gone to the island, right? Yeah. I mean, can you name off just your top 3 favorite places you've been?
Well, we went to Peru in September, and that's let's see, I didn't leave the island for like a year once I got here, and then so I've been to Seattle once now, and then we went to Peru, so we went all around. We were there for, I believe, 13 or 14 days.
Wow.
Maybe 11, I don't know. And so we backpacked and traveled all around there, and then like saw Machu Picchu and stayed on a really cool place that I found on Lake Titicaca, and yeah, really cool stuff. And then let's see, so I'm going to be back in Seattle at the end of May, and then I'm in the process of booking a trip to Venice in June. So this will be my second time there. And then I just got, and it was really crazy, I just got so I'll skip that part, but I just got an invite to Prague. So I'm shortening my trip in my time in Venice, and I'll be in Prague for a week as well.
Fantastic. So, you know, I wanted to mention something too, that I noticed what you said when you were talking about when you told your mom you were going to travel, and she said, well, you know, what money are you going to use? What car are you going to use? And, you know, it's interesting how we let these limitations get in our way. And, you know, I just did a podcast a few weeks ago on, you know, live your dream life today. And it doesn't have to be moving to the Cayman Islands, but what if you want to travel, you know, could it be like, you know, the next town over even, you know, or something new, because I think that people, for whatever reason, you know, in fact, I'll tell you, as I work with clients and I ask them, you know, well, what's your dream life look like? My hypnotherapy clients and stuff, or coaching clients, most everybody says, I want to travel, right? Yeah. Their favorite place is a tropical beach. And yet, for whatever reason, and you know, I think, you know, a lot of people say they can't afford it. And then you look at, you know, they're driving a brand new car every couple of years. They're buying a house maybe that's bigger than what they need. So I think it's a question of priorities. You know, if you really want to travel, you can make it happen. I mean, you took 3 bags. Is that right?
I did.
Yeah, 3 bags.
Yeah.
That's
So I
awesome.
was moving. Yeah, it was quite anxiety provoking. And I had I've had people say like, oh, you make it look like it was so easy. And I want to stop and say it was not easy. Like, I make it sound easy now, but if you wanted to like get into details, it was, me moving was probably a 3-year process of making that decision, but still knowing I wanted more, but not knowing what that was. And so I kind of just stayed still, which I feel like a lot of people do. They just like, well, I don't know what I want, so I'll just keep doing what I'm doing because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
And so it started with me coming back from visiting my brother on Maui and crying for 24 hours, realizing I'm not happy here. I need to change this. And then, a couple of years later, realizing like, all right, I need to do this. But it was not an easy, I'm not losing. I was leaving family. I've been in Seattle for 12 years, so I have this huge support network, and it's comfortable, and it's pretty for 3 months out of the year, so that's not too bad, right?
Yeah.
And so you start kind of rationalizing when you decide to make that jump, and then all these things start coming up in your head. And I was reading last night, I forget, I don't know what book it was. I read like 4 books at one time, but it was saying that when you make a decision, that the universe is really going to test that to see if you're really serious. And so that was one of those things where I was stressed out to the point that I was unrecognizable. I had such swollen, it's on my blog too. I have a picture of it on my blog, but I would break out in hives, and my eyes were so swollen that I could barely see, so puffy, and like rash all over my face, like down my neck. And I had to go to the emergent care. And they're like, nothing's wrong with you. You just need to like chill out, basically. And this was happening for months before I moved here. And it happened once or twice after I moved, but I haven't had it since.
And I don't want to make it sound to people too like it is an easy process. I know for myself, I wanted to move someplace sunny for 10 or 15 years before I finally did it. Because the same thing, you got family, you got friends, and there's also that, it's something new, it's different. I mean, for my move though, I didn't have to, get a passport even, so.
Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of people that asked me, they said, well, have you been to Phoenix before? And I said, nope. But you know what? That's all right. If it doesn't work out, I can always go somewhere else.
Yeah. That's exactly what I said. I'd never been here. And people are like, what, are you crazy? You're moving abroad and you've never even been there? And I was like, have you seen the pictures? What's that like? Like, it's gorgeous. And and so, but I was working 4 jobs, like, and going back to about, making, if it's a priority, you're going to make it a priority. So, I was working 4 jobs and taking my tax return and putting it towards, savings, and I had about $6,000 saved to move here, but I had a free place to live. So that was kind of, my friend said, just come on over and we'll get you sorted, and then you can move out and do whatever. And so that's really where I lucked out too. My money it was going to drinking and hanging out and bills back at home that I still had to deal with. But, and that's go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But if it's a priority, you'll figure it out. And as far as, okay, so say you can't do what I did. You have kids, you have a career that that was my blessing in disguise. I've always wanted a career and I could never find one. And so I wasn't leaving. I was leaving like Hard Rock Cafe. I wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't. So I didn't have that. So I feel very lucky, I guess, to not have had a career. Well, I was beating myself up for years because all my friends had this and this and this, and I was just making ends meet, and I wasn't as important as they are, and I'm kind of a loser. I'm working in a restaurant still, or it was just kind of that thinking, and now you look back and like, oh, there was a reason.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but just making it something that you want to do. Like, I lived in Seattle for 12 years. My brother and my sister-in-law have been living there, I think, under a year, and they have seen more stuff than I saw in 12 years. Serious.
Well,
I was like, I'm so jealous. You've seen so much. And she's like, really? You live on this island? Like, you're jealous of Washington? I'm like, yeah. It wasn't a priority for me to see the state that I was living in. So when I go back, I have all these things like, oh, I want to see this and this. And I could have been doing that, right? So
exactly.
If travel is light the fire into your butt, go on Pinterest. That's what I do. Go on Pinterest, find pictures that inspire you and people that inspire you, and just even go look at your own backyard and where you're from. Check out the United States. Like, go on a road trip. Go down Highway 1. And Big Sur and Hearst Castle and all that. Like, there's cool stuff to see that doesn't require you to go 3,000 miles. Exactly.
And what I encourage people to do when they tell me they want to travel, because people don't necessarily want to travel just for travel's sake. Nobody talks about how awesome it is to try and fit all your crap in 2 bags and stand in line and get frisked at TSA and all that stuff, right? So that's
sometimes fun though.
Right. Well, there you go. Depends on who's doing the frisking, I suppose. But what it is, what do you want to accomplish with the travel? And if it's you want to see new things or you want to meet new people, you can do that. I mean, really, you don't even have to leave your city, right? I mean, you can do those things right away. So you can get a little more adventure in your life, even if you can't move 1,000 miles away or 3,000 miles away.
Right. And get your face out of your phone. Stop. Leave your phone in the car, right? Because you sit. And it's like, I remember when I was in Seattle, I love eating alone, and I love just taking a book and going to the restaurant and, sitting at the sushi bar and eating, and there's other people there that are eating alone, and, but if my face is in my phone and you're not paying attention, you're missing out on what people travel to see. When I was in Peru and we were sitting there, I was taking pictures of tons of stuff, but we would just sit there and just watch people. And there's, it's just so cool. But you can do that at home. Go sit on First and Pike at the Starbucks. Right?
Oh yeah.
In Seattle.
Yeah.
Go sit at the big hub, in Pike Place Market or wherever you live, and just sit and people watch and talk to them and, hey, how are you? And it's uncomfortable, and they might not talk back or whatever, but whatever. I'm cool. You're last. You don't want to talk to me.
Absolutely. I want to mention something too. When people do think, for themselves, my goodness, that'd be just crazy to head off to someplace I've never, move to someplace I've never been to. If you think about it, many people that live in the United States have an ancestor somewhere along the way that had to do that, right? Yeah. I mean, most people from in the, or at least a great percentage of Americans, their family started somewhere else.
Right.
So somewhere along the way, somebody said, I'm going to go to California and I live in England or I live in China or whatever. And, it was really a leap of faith. And back then, going back probably wasn't an option.
Right.
So,
and you know what? They were probably 10 sent on a boat by themselves.
Exactly. So
you're 35, you're an adult.
Right. Exactly. Your parents will help you get back home if needed. You'll be able to collect enough funds to get a bus ticket or a plane ticket back home if you need it. I'm sure.
Well, that's what, credit cards aren't a good thing, but that was my, worst comes to worst, I'll move back in with my parents. No, thank you. I'll make sure that that's not, but, I feel like everybody has friends, or hopefully everybody has friends or family that if you fall flat on your face because you're making these big decisions and it doesn't work out, that someone will help you, and then you can pay it back later or pay it forward or whatever. But
absolutely,
that was also, just so scared of looking like a failure, I guess. This all could have not worked out, and I would have gone home with my tail tucked in between my legs and all right, what else can I do,
Yeah.
But there was also the possibility that it could work out.
Yeah.
So, you can look at it like half empty, half full, kind of like, well, what if it doesn't work out? But what if it does?
What if it does? What a great way to look at it. Hey folks, I want to just remind you can live tweet the show at Jim Kellner or at Shannon Whaley. You can tweet us your questions, comments, concerns, sexy pics maybe, whatever you like. I also want to let you know too, head over to my website to sign up for my newsletter. You get a free hypnosis download. That's jimkellnerhypnotist.com. And also, you can go over to Shannon's website and sign up for her newsletter to keep up with what's going on, read some of her blog articles. And also, she's got some great recipes on there. And I want to chat about, well, maybe we'll come back to some of the other stuff because I do want to get on to what you're doing now. But real quick, her website is Shannon, that's SHANNON Whaley, WHALEY .squarespace.com. She's got a great blog there. She's got a lot of cool information, really good looking recipes, and the cornbread that exploded, it looks like. But maybe if we have time, we can chat about that a little more. I want to try the chili.
I wanted to be honest and show that sometimes things don't work out.
And see, isn't that great? Because you never see that. You never see.
No, you don't. Like, oh, look at my
products.
food. I'm like, really? That's not what mine looks like.
Exactly. So they don't tell us it took them 5 times to get that perfect one. But anyway, so Shannon.
Well, that was another thing that I got to do while I was off, was I got to design my new website, which I mean, it took hours and hours, and I had a template. Squarespace is amazing if you want to start your own blog or business website or whatever, but just sitting there and building a website took forever. So that was one thing that I got to do and was really proud of.
It looks beautiful. I got to tell you.
Thank you. And those pictures are all mine. I didn't steal them from anybody.
And this is, I got to tell you, when I first saw it, I was kind of blown away because I mean it's a really beautiful picture, and I love that black background. It's really, really fantastic. I do want to move on now to what are you doing now, because you're getting involved in coaching, you're getting involved in a lot of interesting stuff. You want to help empower people to step into their power. Talk to me about what's next for Shannon. What are you doing? What are you up to now? What's going on?
Well, so about a year and a half ago, when I was getting sober, I wasn't doing AA or anything like that, and I started doing a lot of yoga, and that ended up being my meetings. Was if I was at a staff party and people, that was always my out, like, oh, I have a class that I have to go to, and so I used that as my way out, I guess. And
you're anti-drug.
Yes. Because and I had gone to my fair share of yoga classes hungover or probably still drunk, which, come on. And now, like, yoga
come on.
Yoga is so much more to me now than just going to class and then go, like, I go and like have a cigarette after class, like in my yoga clothes.
It reminds me of the two of like the people that you see rushing to get into their yoga class.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like every single day. I used to work next to a yoga place. It would be the same people every day. They're rushing in, and it's like you're missing the whole point of yoga, right? I mean,
we're driving there. Get out of my way!
Right, exactly.
And then they go to yoga class.
Right.
Which I'm totally guilty of doing.
Hey, me too, right? I mean, yeah, absolutely.
So it's just so I started. I did a 30-day challenge when I first started, and did that on my own, and then was going a lot more, and then signed up for the yoga teacher training, and that became more. I don't really know if I was going to teach or what I'm going to do with that. But I was using it more as like, I don't know. I thought of it today, and I was like, well, let's just consider that my rehab, because that's what really gave me a solid basis, a spiritual basis, and just looking towards the future more. Mm-hmm. And so I have that underway. I have one more huge paper to write, and hours I have to teach some classes to get my certification. So I'll have that under my belt, one more certificate, and I like to collect certificates, apparently. And then I just started. So when I was a counselor, my thinking was that, and I've always thought this, was that we know the answers to our problems, but we just don't want to do it.
So true.
I'm
running the same thing with clients all the time. What should I do? Well, what do you think you should do? They always know. They almost 90% of the time they know exactly what they should do. They even know how to do it. It's just the doing part.
Exactly. And so I've really held that belief, just talking to friends and when they I don't know what to do and that sort of thing. And well, okay, let's support you in figuring out and stepping into your power and taking that back. So I didn't know this, but when I was busy dropping out of grad school, coaching was starting to become a thing.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm like, gosh, I just wish I would have talked to more people or had more mentors. But that's another thing that I just didn't really reach out. And I didn't know that positive psychology was a thing, which is the basis of coaching. I didn't know that there were other options. And so I spent 10 years doing other stuff thinking, I don't know, this is what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. Like, I want to help women. I want to encourage and empower women, but I don't know how. And, just besides my friends and, Facebook posts and stuff. And so I hired a coach. Well, through networking, I met a coach. She gave me a free session. Years later, I finally hired her when I could. And so she helped me. And that's another thing. Like, you never know. I don't like to go through life thinking, what can you do to help me?
Right.
That's kind of a crappy way to look at, like, when you're meeting somebody, like, how can you help me? It's more like, how can I help you? Like, how can I help you with your business? How can I help you with networking? How can I help you with whatever? And so when I was doing hair in that horrid salon, we were forced to send out free haircut cards. And so I thought, who do I want my clients to be? And I found this coach in the phone book. And I sent her a card, and she came and saw me. Her name is Stacy Duhan, and she's in Seattle. And she gave me a free session for my free haircut. And that was that really years ago got the ball rolling. And then I moved here, finally was able to hire her. And then she helped me get the ball rolling again with picking out a coaching program. And so now I'm going to the Institute for Life Coach Training, and it is an online-based program. And it's about a year-long program. So I'm 5 classes in, 6 classes in. And so my hope is to start my own coaching business and somehow incorporate yoga. There's so many different kinds of yoga. So doing meditations and stuff after our coach training to help kind of integrate the stuff that we're talking about. And I don't know, I'd love to do retreats and workshops and
boy, sign me up.
Yeah.
Come down to Grand Cayman, right, for a retreat.
Absolutely. That's ideal.
Yeah, I think you'll have
I
think you'll definitely have some people that are willing to make that travel. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I think that we had talked a little bit about this idea, having setting goals and then deciding on something else. What's your philosophy on that?
About setting goals and if it doesn't work out? Yeah.
Is there any more you want to add to that? That we've talked about a little bit.
Just I feel like we surround, the friends that we have and stuff, when we tell them our goals and they tell us what they think about them, like, oh, you're crazy, you shouldn't move, why are you going to do that? That sounds really hard. What about the money?
Right.
people tell you what they think because of their limiting beliefs.
Right. Absolutely.
And when people are giving you advice, it's not coming from a place of, usually, I want the best for you. It's that they wouldn't do what you are thinking of doing. And you have to surround yourself with big dreamers, big thinkers, people who will pick up and sell everything and move to an island. You got to surround yourself with those kind of people if that's the life that you want to live.
Absolutely. It's funny. I mean, there's a saying or something that you are the what is it, the 4 or 5 people that you hang around with the most, right?
Yeah.
That's
I just posted that too. You're the sum of the 5 people. You're the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself by. So
absolutely.
If you start looking around, and I remember being like, oh God, I need a friend.
I know the feeling, and it was funny because I had someone interview me for a book that they're writing just a few weeks ago, and she asked me, do you get a lot of because I'm doing a lot of entrepreneurial things, writing I wrote the book and I'm hypnotherapy and stage hypnosis, all these.
By the way, that's so huge.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
All these crazy things. Find it on Amazon.com, everybody. Jim Kellner, Navigating Success. But she was asking me about, what do you say to people that tell you, that are, try to discourage you or tell you it's not possible and stuff. And I thought about it for a second. I was like, there's nobody in my life like that anymore. There's those people are gone now. And I've had friends in the past that were like that would tell you all the things that could go wrong. That would tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't do it. They're just not in my life anymore, so I don't have to worry about it. So if you've got those kind of people around you, they're holding you back. They really are, and they mean well. I think a lot of times they mean well, but they're projecting their limitations.
Sometimes they're just jealous.
That's it too. They're jealous. So don't. Gosh, really, I say, and I hate to say it. I'm not saying you have to drop those friends. Just don't associate them with them as much, right? Shannon's going, bye-bye. But that's what I've tried to do.
Energy suckers, like when you call them and everything. Like I remember I had this friend years ago, and like when we would talk, like she'd just go on and on about this, how I got mugged, and all this stuff happened, and I remember saying, so what's going right with your life?
I did the same thing. What's going right with your life?
Yeah. So what can we be thankful for? And I get into counselor mode. What can we be thankful for today? So yeah, and it really, for me, what really happened, what really changed was when I quit drinking, and I realized there was a big aha moment that I was drinking to hang out with people that I actually didn't even really like. And which I had done that in relationships too. I drank more. I was dating alcoholics, so I was drinking more because they were drunk, so I had to drink so that they weren't as annoying, or I wouldn't get angry. And so towards the end of my drinking career, I just would kind of look around and be like, we don't really talk about anything. Like, there's nothing deep. Like, I have all this shit going on in my life, and I want to share it with somebody, and like, you just want to go get wasted.
Yeah.
And so, I do spend a lot of time alone, but I'd rather have that and my, 3 people that I hang out with than this whole crew that I really have nothing in common with. Like when you get to the deep stuff, there's nothing really in common. Yeah.
And I've really found that, since I've, just in the last few years anyway, but especially since moving to Phoenix, I've just sort of, somehow I've just been attracting these kind of, I don't know how else to put it, but entrepreneurial, really powerful people that are going after their goals, people that aren't letting, their, other people's limitations get in their way. I've just sort of attracted them to my life. And it's really an awesome feeling. I don't think, I haven't heard a negative comment from any of them, and I don't even know how long. I talk about, I'm going to do this or that, and they're like, great. how can I help? Or, just here's some suggestions, to make it even better. These kind of things, it's a really empowering
That's really
feeling.
cool. Yeah, absolutely. And you did that, you did that by removing those
Right.
people and wanting better and becoming better too. If
That's
you're
true.
sitting there and all you have to offer is this much, you're going to attract other people that only have this much. But if you get your head on straight and you start going after your dreams, and that becomes attractive to you, and finding new friends, new partners, new acquaintances that have a lot more stuff to offer.
That's a really great point, Shannon. In fact, I've heard people talk about that in like, be the person that you'd want to date or something.
Yeah.
But what you're saying too is be the person that you'd want to hang out with, be the person that you'd want to associate with, be friends with, be colleagues with.
Yeah.
So that's really great, valuable advice there. Shannon, we're just about getting to the end of the show. Was there anything that you wanted to touch on before we wrap things up?
What were those 3 things we talked about?
Oh, okay.
I didn't write them down.
We can move. Oh, you did. Neither did I.
I have the memory of a goldfish.
Oh,
so if it's not
fantastic.
written down, it doesn't happen.
So okay.
Were you ready to talk about those, or do you want to talk about other things first?
Oh, if there was anything else you wanted to cover before we got to that, we could.
Just listen to what you want. Don't let people's ideas or little thoughts just drag you down. And listen to what your body's saying. That if you're saying something and your stomach starts to hurt or you start to get flushed, listen to what your body's saying too. I feel like we really ignore the response that we're getting, and don't follow our hearts because our head says this is logical, do this because you're supposed to, but you can feel it just like killing you inside. So get in touch with your body.
Get in touch with your body. Great. So as my listeners know, and I actually stole this from Dave over at, oh gosh, now I can't remember he's got the Bulletproof Coffee thing. Anyway, Bulletproof Executive. At the end of his show, he always asks his guests, what are 3 things that people can do to live a better life today? I like to ask my guests same question. Shannon, are there 3 things that you could recommend, small things, big things that our audience could do today to start living a more awesome life? Or 1 thing.
What did we talk about, Jim? I don't remember.
There was something about, gosh, I thought you had it written down, so I didn't write it.
Oh, come on!
So first thing is write things down.
Yeah.
Write down your good ideas.
Well, what we said, if it's a priority to you, whether it be travel or going after the career that you want and those sort of things, that make it a priority. Like, set your goals. And what I really enjoyed with the Desire Map and Danielle LaPorte is what I've learned is to know what goals you want to accomplish, but also know how you want to feel. So if you want to feel proud, do you want to feel freedom? Do you want to feel like my desired beliefs are wanderlust? Like my number 1 is wanderlust. I love traveling and I love meeting new people and adding the stamps into my passport. Ease. Like I want my life to be easy. I think it's a myth that people have to. I mean, you have to work hard, but it's not supposed to be. Like. Yeah. I want my life. I want to live in ease, and I want joy. I want to feel this joy bubbling from out of me, and I want to be supported and feel like I have a good network of people, behind me and that are helping me. And I want to feel freedom. So just freedom. When you get money and you can not, when you're out of debt. Just identify, and I think that book's great. I don't know how it is for men because it's very kind of, but check it out. It's the same. It's, you can use it. it just might be a little foo-foo for some guys.
All right.
But identify what you want to feel on top of the goals that you want to check off on your list. And
okay. Great. That's fantastic. If Shannon thinks of 2 other things that she wants to share with us, she'll tweet us or something. That's
tweet them.
Yeah, tweet them. Folks, I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. And again, you can find this hopefully every Wednesday on YouTube, broadcasting live. I do strip the audio off, and that sounds weird, but I remove the audio. I take the audio and I re-upload that to Blog Talk and some other sources, so you can listen to just the audio version of this interview. And I will be posted on my page, and I'll share it with Shannon so she can let all of her friends, family, and fans know. And Shannon, thanks a lot for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah, it was great talking to you. Yay! All right. So she'll come back when she's big and famous, hopefully. All right. So let's see. We just want to remind you, Shannon's website. If you want to get a hold of her, that's Shannon Whaley, Shannon-Whaley. .squarespace.com. Of course, you can find me at jimkellner.com or jimkellnerhypnotist.com. And I just want to say, hey, thanks a lot, everybody, for listening. Take care, be well, and of course, be awesome. Hopefully the music is recording. I don't know. Well, I shouldn't have said that.
It's still live. It's still
I know,
live.
yeah.